Welcome to Mark My Words, a podcast that not only aims to inspire and teach the listener about entrepreneurship, it also aims to give my guests an opportunity to talk about their unique journey in entrepreneurship and life. So join me and my guests as we meet at the crossroads on Mark My Words. When you think about entrepreneurship in 2024, in the 20s, you tend to think about being involved with content creation and a lot of the typical types of avenues that you tend to normally hear about. And lucky for us and lucky for me, one of the reasons that I like doing this show so much is because I have the opportunity every once in a while to meet somebody who is doing something really interesting. And as soon as I read about them or hear about them or they're uh they come on my doorstep to be on this show, sometimes I just know right away I want them on my show. And today's guest, Shannon Houchin, is a guest that I knew right off the bat that I wanted on this show. And she's actually an entrepreneur in an area that is quite old school. You think of today, we're so focused on so many things that are so technological, and she does implement a lot of what's going on today into her business, especially some of the social media that she's doing, which I can't wait to talk about. Her TikTok page is phenomenal. And she is the chief roadie at Roadside Republic, and one of the main focal points of her business is selling peaches, which is amazing and old school, but also very unique in 2024. And there's a lot more of her out there that I'm even like giving credit for in this introduction. So without further ado, Shannon Houchin, welcome to Mark My Words. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I appreciate you coming on such short notice. We've been talking, and last minute we just threw this together. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking about the awesome things that you're doing. I can't wait to talk about what you're doing and what led to where you are today. But as I usually start off with, I want to go way back because you like again, one of the reasons I like doing this show so much is almost I just watched Forrest Gump this morning, so it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. And you have somebody here, you, who actually majored in history, information systems, but more uniquely, history. You went from being a history major to entrepreneur selling peaches. And I just gotta ask, A, was entrepreneurship something you ever saw yourself doing? What did you see yourself doing growing up? And how did history play into that?
Well, that is a great question. The short answer is no. I never considered entrepreneurship. I never thought I would be self-employed or be in business for myself, not ever. I did get a, double major history and anthropology, and then I went on to get my master's degree in information science. And became an investigative researcher for the daily newspaper. So I was working with the investigative reporters to do these long, in-depth stories, to uncover injustice in the community. And then I went on to actually be a reporter myself and became an award-winning journalist. And so I was a writer for a very long time. And it wasn't until my family, my husband at the time, and my dad went into business and they started a software development firm together. And it really took off. And at the time, I was freelancing, so I wasn't in the office. And they said, "Hey, we need your help at the software development company. We need sales support and we need marketing support." So I started working with them, and that's where my entrepreneurial, career took off. I got to spend every day with my dad before he passed away, 10 years, learning the ropes from a true hustler, a true entrepreneur, a true I don't he was a true inspiration and a really great mentor. And so from that point on, I was hooked. And I haven't had a real job. I have not been employed in I think 25 years now. So
Congratulations.
it's been pretty amazing. And Peaches have occupied the last 10 years of this entrepreneurial journey.
So, one thing that caught my ear, so one of the most memorable times for me in college was, so I did take a history class, but I also took anthropology. And other than hearing my teacher's stories about what they did with it, going off wherever and exploring whatever and wherever they were going or what they had done in their life, I never even thought about how that career path could tie into the news. So that's really interesting. You talk about using your degree, which I feel like they tend to say a lot of people wind up not doing, but you found like a really unique way to use your degree. So hats off to you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It was a love of storytelling, a love of research and history, and just understanding human psychology and what motivates, compels communities of people to do what they do. And it's that curiosity that really, I guess, it was the backbone of what built Roadside Republic, a curiosity of what compels people in their purchasing behavior, that curiosity to understand how to construct an experience for people that they love, and that creates this loyalty and this affinity, for a product or service or an experience. And just building on that and creating, storytelling, selling to create and craft value around something as pedestrian as peaches. I mean, it seems so odd, but it all came together and it worked. And I found this niche that is inherently a win-win-win. I say it's a triple win because it's a win for the farm, the orchard, it's a win for me as a reseller, and it's a win for the consumer. Every part of that transaction is inherently happy. Everyone is happy from start to finish. And consumers, when they think about peaches, when they think about produce or farm stands, there's just this built-in memory, this crystallized memory in people's brain, that when they think farm stand, they think, iconically American. They think local, sustainable. They think patriotism, and all of that just breeds this fertile ground of happiness. And so I got to capitalize off of that and create a business that people thought was dead. I took something that, was disappearing from the American landscape, the farm stand, the roadside farm stand, and make it into a repeatable, replicable business. So, and it's like an ATM machine virtually. All you have to do is decide how much net profit you want out of it. And you plug that into our business blueprint, and then it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. How many stands you need to have, how many hours you need to work, how many, thousands of pounds of peaches you need to sell a season, how many employees you need to have. So it's just, you stand at the ATM machine, tell it how much cash you want, and at the end of the peach season, that's what you're going to get.
And based on what I've been finding out about you, it sounds like one thing you like to focus on and teach is for people to find businesses like selling peaches or whatever else might be kind of dying off that people actually might need, and kind of taking that passion and taking the, steering wheel, so to say, and create something similar to what you have created.
Exactly. I have a real affinity for, we call it in the business, coin op businesses or cash-based businesses. So coin operated businesses are things like vending machines, car washes, laundromats, arcades. I mean, you think about these old school businesses that just straight up operated off cash, and you can, and they're still really rich businesses. There's still a ton of opportunity there because everybody still uses all of these things. And car washes, coin up car washes are disappearing from our landscape. You'll see companies re-envisioning the car wash now, and so you will see some popping up, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Same thing with laundromats, same thing with vending machines. So if you look at Americana, and I love to do this, you just list out all of these cash-based businesses that people overlook every single day, you will find a wealth of opportunity. And I do talk about that a lot on my TikTok channel, what you can do on a weekend with a cash-based business to earn extra income. And if it's a big ticket item you want to pay for, like college tuition, which is what we do, we help a lot of high school students and college students earn income over the summer semester, over the summer, right, summer season, in order to pay for their academic tuition for the year. And in addition, living expenses. But if you really dive in and you examine these old school cash-based businesses, there's still so much opportunity there to earn a really good living, or just do a side hustle if you want.
So, what kind of Americana type of businesses or any business do you feel that fits the criteria that you're trying to teach and pass on that hasn't been utilized or reborn yet that you wish somebody would do? Is there any ideas?
I think there is so much opportunity with laundromats. Um, Another used to be cash-based business and it's blown up would be storage facilities. So you used to see all of these mom and pop, all the storage facilities used to be owned by mom and pop. Well, now the big corporations have come in and revitalized that and remade it, right? And now it's absolutely gigantic. But there's a lot of opportunity in laundromats to be re-envisioned, reimagined, and make into community centers. It's a place, there's still a ton of people out there that have to use laundromats, right? Apartment dwellers, people that are renting, not everybody has an in-house washing machine and dryer. So that is a community center, a community destination that could be reimagined. And there's a lot of opportunity there for profitability. I mean, I could see, a laundromat and a bar, a laundromat and a restaurant, a laundromat and I don't know, a dog park. I mean, there's just so many things you could do with that. Car washes also, I can see a lot of opportunity in that environment. Those are places that people can meet, and it can become a destination, and it can serve the community, and it's a hyper local, so we're talking 3 to 5 miles. So there's a lot of opportunity there to build community for that destination and draw from 3 to 5 miles within an immediate vicinity. That's how convenience stores work. They're drawing, especially the mom and pops, 3 to 5 miles is their customer base. And that kind of building that loyalty and that reputation and that those raving fans of your business I mean, it's just it means everything to the community. It's a destination, and it's a an expert, it's an authority, and it's just a touchstone.
You made a great point by mentioning laundromats. Since I've been in Florida, and I think this is a fairly recent discovery, I found a laundromat that's basically contactless, which goes completely against building community, but you sign up for their service, you show up and you just input your information, you put your clothes into the machine takes it. It's kind of like a laundromat. I got to peek inside and saw how it just runs with all the big machinery, and somebody's kind of there manning and keeping an eye on it, but basically it's like contactless. That's something I've never seen before, and it goes completely against what you were talking about as far as building community, but because of how it works and how easy it is, it's something that I'm like, man, this is a great idea. And I even met the owner. They were there. I think they were just getting it going. But for me, that was like a really unique idea, a really unique way to kind of take the power back. Because as much as we need to have community and interact with each other in person and build all those relationships, there are some businesses that it's just good to know that you can just go do your thing, and even though it's not the same kind of relationship, they're still doing something really good for you by getting you through what sometimes can be a painful process pretty quickly and painlessly.
Yes, yeah. And there's in these old school cash-based businesses, as they're reimagined, there's lots of pivots within the business. So with farm stands, for example, last year, even though we've been doing this 10 years now, last year was our first year that we offered online ordering and shipping and delivery. So we, with all of the college kids, we finally had all the logistics in place and enough, kids locally who could drive that we set up routes. So we allowed our customers to order what I call the Roadie farm box on our website. And then, it was a nice size transaction, $6,500, per cart value. And then we would set up delivery for them the next day. So they could get our customers could get what was fresh immediately, what was fresh that day delivered to them the next day. And so all of the produce we do, nothing is refrigerated. So it's allowed to sweeten and ripen, according to nature. And by the time that the consumer gets it, it's absolutely, delicious. So there are lots of, ways you can pivot within an older business to modernize it and to reach a really wide, customer base, different opportunities. So visit us at physically in the stand. You can't make it to the stand, no problem. We'll deliver to you. Oh, you can't, you're outside of our delivery radius. Well, we can ship you, right, a case of peaches, because there are special boxes and foam that's made, that we can package the peaches. So we can actually ship peaches now. So that's something that we added last year to our business.
So you're making so many good points. And before we really dive into the business, because I've just based on some of the things you're saying, I'm like, that's a question, that's a question, that's a question. Let me at least go back a little bit. So you were working for your dad, with your dad, you were doing some other things along the way. What made you decide? What was like the turning point of I want to start a business selling peaches? Why peaches? And where where was exactly like the turning point for you where you said I want to take control of my life in that way? And also, the one thing I eventually want to ask you about is your writing career. I know that you write, and I know storytelling is a big part of your social media presence. And this is all really like loaded, so I'm sorry about that. But maybe to the best of your ability with all the hodgepodge of points there, tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about all that.
Yeah. So back in 2012, I think it was, my dad got sick. He had brain cancer and he eventually passed away within a year or two. And back in 2013, so that was when he was really sick. And I decided that I wanted to try something different. Like, we had been in software, and I decided my son was 11 at the time, and I wanted to do something that was physical, like tangible with my hands. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to engage with people. I wanted to talk to people face to face, every single day. And I had a friend who actually worked for us at the software company, but he grew up in South Carolina, right around peach orchards. And he kept telling me, Shannon, you've got to come to South Carolina. He had run a series of peach stands himself for probably about 4 or 5 years, and he raised his kids doing this as well. And he was like, peach stands are an amazing cash-based business. You can't believe how much money it makes. Come check it out. So finally, after several years of him telling me this, I went to South Carolina. I took my son, and we spent the summer there in 2013. And I learned everything about the peach business. I visited orchards. I learned how, the peaches are grown, the different varietals. I learned, how to tell a ripe peach. I learned how to sell a peach. I mean, basically everything from A to Z. And that year I decided that I wanted to go big. I didn't want to wait for a 10-year learning curve. I wanted to learn it all immediately. So I opened 100 peach stands in a single summer season. And I did it across 3 states. We did it in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. And we sold, I don't know, we sold tractor trailer loads of peaches, like a lot of peaches that year. And I learned absolutely everything not to do. I did everything wrong that I could possibly do wrong, but I did a lot of stuff right too. And so I had a crash course in how to set up a peach distribution business. And my goal was to create a new network, a distribution network that never existed before. With the ultimate purpose of being bought out, but creating, these individual peach stands that go into neighborhoods and serve communities at a 3 to 5 mile radius, just like convenience stores do. And in that effort, create a virtually unknown, never existing distribution network. And that's what we did that year. And it was highly successful. And after that summer, my dad passed away, and I decided to keep doing it. I said, this is a lot of fun. It was a lot of work that first year, but I learned a lot. And as we went, we continuously refined the business model. And today I don't do as much. My son is in college now, but we still run the peach business every single season. And we have pivoted in several different ways, where we don't 100 stands, but we probably do 20 to 30 every season. So it's still a big enterprise. Um, so
That's
that's how we got started.
So, how did you come up with 100 stands? What research did you need to do, if any? Was it something that you just learned from the person who took you under their wing? How'd you come up with that? Okay, so I just asked Shannon a question, and in the middle of going through, or in the middle of her answering that question, my computer crashed. That has never happened, and that is a lesson to shut down everything that is multimedia, audiovisual, when you're doing a podcast. I should know this lesson. Yet another lesson learned. I already learned not to eat a kind bar before doing a podcast this season. And now I learned don't leave editing software open because I was a little too flippant about it. So let's just get right back into it. And Shannon can just jump right in, hopefully answering my question about how she came up with the 100 stands and how she went about implementing and starting her business and that number and implementing that.
Yeah, so we it back in the software days, I'd had a lot of experience working with convenience stores. And so I was aware of the traffic opportunity at convenience stores. So we decided to co-locate in those parking lots with convenience stores. And we looked at Department of Transportation statistics so we could see the traffic counts. And so we picked very high traffic, highly visible intersections on our route. And part of that, when you do that many stands, you want to have a really good route because you're going to have to do right delivery and fulfillment every single day. And we were doing it across 3 states. So with that in mind, high traffic counts, high visibility, and on an accessible route so that we could service the stands every single day. Because again, we're not refrigerating anything. And so we have a very short window in which to turn a case of peaches. And it's like 4 days really from orchard, to getting to the roadside stand. We've got 4 days before it just becomes overripe. And, then we're selling it for mash at that point. So the visibility is super critical for the roadside stands because, as I said, 80% of the traffic, 80% of the customer base is impulse. They're seeing the signs for fresh peaches and they're pulling over to make a purchase. So that's how we did it. We identified probably about 120 potential locations. We ended up that summer setting 100. All 100 did not pan out because some turn out to be dogs. They just did not meet the criteria we needed or wanted for a highly profitable location. So with everything we knew, and we had a long list of criteria for what would make a good location. They just didn't all pan out. So, after maybe we would give it 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, a month max. And if a location did not perform, we would just go pick up the tent and we would go reset it because we had a long list of potential locations. We would just pick up the bad location and then just go reset at the next one on our list. So that's how we turned 100 locations that summer. And, we probably ended up with probably about 60 really good ones that summer because we got it refined, we got it down, and we had some really good high performers. And then we had some decent ones. And then we probably had, 25 dogs that we ended up closing after a month.
Were there any dogs that you expected to be a really good location that surprised you?
Yes. Yeah. There were ones that we thought would be really good. And for some reason, um, and usually it came down to the demographic wasn't right because most consumers who are going to stop at a roadside stand, they're, probably 35 years of age or older. And so sometimes we were in neighborhoods where the demographic, like college campuses or around college universities, are not necessarily a great place to locate a peach stand because college students, that's not the demographic that's going to buy a lot of peaches. So we very quickly learned, that really wasn't the place for us to be. If we may have had really, really high traffic intersections, but if we were in a hospital district, not really a great place to locate a peach stand. The traffic was great. The motor traffic, the foot traffic was great, but people were not really thinking about peaches in that neighborhood. They were going to a hospital and leaving, or going to doctor's appointments and leaving. So it just wasn't the right place for us to be. So those are two examples where we ended up picking up locations and then just moving them to other places.
So you talk a lot about your son and his involvement in the business and I see him popping up on your TikTok page. What was the point? I mean, it kind of sounds like he was pretty much involved from the beginning, but what's the growth there as far as him taking over? I mean, I don't know if I want to say he's taking over, but it sounds like he's become more and more involved. What exactly has been his role, and how have the roles changed, I guess?
Yeah. So early on, he's, that very first summer that we were in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, he was 11. And so his job at that point was to work the peach stands. That's what he did. And he worked a lot with me too, because we did a lot of logistics and fulfillment, and we were in the warehouse and we were doing training. We were wearing every hat in the business. So early on, he got to see that. But that summer, he really focused on just selling peaches. And then over the years, as he was in high school, he was probably a junior, about a junior or senior in high school. He started taking over, like actually training all of the staff who work for us. He started setting up all the stands, helping me pick the locations, doing fulfillment and delivery on his own. So he really started picking up a lot of the logistics and the training. And then in the last 2 years, he's almost taken over completely. So I get to just show up and participate if I want. He's taken over really all of the operations. And all of the training and fulfillment and acquisition of peaches. And so what I get to do is the fun stuff. I'm still working with orchards. I'm still, doing the inventory procurement, and working with the farms and the orchards and the brokers and the wholesaler to find inventory and, determining, hey, let's branch out into honey. Oh, now maybe we want to do farm eggs. Oh gosh, we just found, last year I went to the farm that grows a particular heirloom cantaloupe here in Texas. So I get to do those sorts of fun things. And now he does all of the operations for our business.
So you talked earlier about how you had this strong desire to get your hands dirty and be really active and out there in that way. Do you miss being that involved, or have you evolved as a person to where my son is doing that, he likes doing that, and I this is the role I have to take as the chief roadie of the business to oversee and to help it thrive?
Well, we live in Texas, and so the summers are brutal here. Last year was one of the most brutal summers we've had in a long time. I mean, we had days where it was 112, 115, in these peach stands. And at my age, it's getting to wear on me a little bit. And so the kids have a lot more stamina, for this business. And so I'm focusing on actually, um, I'm in the middle of starting up a trade association. So to my knowledge, there's no trade association for roadside farm stands or pop-up shops. And so I'm in the middle of putting together a trade association, which will be an advocate for that part of the business where people can get training, right? They can learn marketing, they can learn all the skills that they will need to be successful. So I'm enjoying this part now, which is not working in the business, but working on the business. And so Finn is deep in working in the business. So I've transitioned more out now and enjoying the AC, and, a little more relaxed approach to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have only lived in Florida for 2 years, but I agree with you as far as like how high it was last summer. Like it was brutal here in Florida. So that really showed me a lot about, oh man, like I don't really want to be out there myself, and I'm not working half as hard as you guys. So yeah, I don't know how that's relevant, but as soon as you talked about how high it was, I'm like, yeah, it was the same here.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year was a brutal summer, I think, everywhere.
Yeah, no, actually, I think it was everywhere. But being down here and being a Florida Southern below the Mason-Dixon line newbie, or at least this far down, I was like, oof, man. Sometimes I wish I was back north where it was at least the heat index was like 100. So it was crazy summer. But let me try to get back on track a little bit here. And so now you're in this new phase. You're trying to teach people and impart your wisdom. You're also thinking about other ways that you could potentially expand. How about just overall in this business that you've created? How do you see yourself moving forward? Have you thought that far into the future? Like what else you can really do? What other type of businesses you can do? Where do you see things going?
So there's still a lot of opportunity. I'm really excited about the trade association and providing training experiences for people who want to be their own boss, who want to be in control of their own schedule and their own income and their own lifestyle. And there is this hunger that I see in the marketplace, and I see it from consumers. So all across the U.S., there is this growing trend for all of these pop-up shop markets. And these are shopping markets, shopping festivals, and they're usually put on by, a market organizer. And so you'll have anywhere from 50 to, several hundred of these pop-up shops. And these are little vendors that have their 10 by 10 tents, and they'll show up for, a 4 to 6 hour market. And the organizer has done all of the wonderful promotion, right? And raising awareness within the community that, hey, here's this experience you can come to for the day. And in these pop-up shops, we're seeing all of these, back to, trade craft, artisans, skilled, um, skilled tradesmen that are selling their products and services. So everything from farmers markets, to selling produce, to people who are artists, authors, people that are hand making soap or bread or cookies or organic dog treats. You have people that have woodcraft. They might be I don't know, making tables and chairs and, charcuterie boards. And you have people that bake bread. And I mean, it just runs the gamut. You'll see a lot of people who are really skilled in the art of jams and jellies and preserves. We see a lot of beekeepers now who are offering honey. So these are opportunities for small business people to establish their business and sell their products and services. And so these pop-up shops are growing in popularity. And it tells me the consumers are really hungry for local, sustainable mom and pop businesses because they want to buy local and they want to support their local community. So with the trade organization, that's what I want to do, is support people who want that opportunity to grow their business, but not in a heavy, mortgaged brick and mortar store yet. You got to start small in order to demonstrate a proof of concept and go from there. And then with our pop-up shop, our roadside stands, I do have a next step that I want to do, and it is creating proprietary products that are branded for the roadside stand. And I have two things in mind. I don't want to spill the beans on it quite yet, but we're talking a beverage, which I'm really excited about, which is going to be proprietary to the roadside stand, and then a line of curated, hand selected produce that is proprietary to the roadside stand. So those are two things that I'm working on in the next couple of years.
That sounds awesome, especially any kind of beverage. I'm always open to a new beverage, so that's amazing. I won't make you say anything else about it. But one question I do have is I'm listening to you talk about your role with all these aspiring mom and pop uh folks. What do you think is or are the most important like roles that you play or most important role that you play as I would say a mentor to all these folks who are in the same spot you were in about 10 or so years ago? What's like the most important thing to you to teach them that you feel is the difference between being a success and just losing your momentum or confidence? What do you think is the most important thing?
I think a lot of folks who want to, whether you want to be a side hustler, you know, you want to have a weekend business or a part-time business, or you just want to leave your 9 to 5 and be your own boss, set your own schedule, and be in charge of your own income. You know, there there really is a low barrier to entry in this type of business. So with a peach stand or a produce stand, or doing a pop-up shop business with hard goods that you make or you buy to, you know, in order to be a reseller, you can start really low. You don't have to have a ton of money to do this. And you don't have to, you know, have a degree. You don't have to have tons of experience. You can just start small. Most of the fees for the pop-up shops are really, you know, low, $25, $40. You know, you can rent a, you know, a booth. You don't have to have a big fancy tent or all these materials and supplies. You can have an umbrella, a table, and your $200 worth of inventory. And you can start on a Saturday doing that. And you sell through, and then you just roll that, you know, revenue into Sunday's inventory. So you start with $200 of peaches on Saturday, you make $600. On Sunday, you get $600 worth of peaches and you sell through that. And you just keep snowballing your way to end of week, you know, profit and enough cash to go buy all the materials and supplies, all the fancy stuff that you want. And that's how you can grow your business. I mean, that's bootstrapping, but it can be done. And it can be done very, very quickly. It doesn't have to take years. You can do it in a week. You can do it in a summer, and you can start small. So, you know, I think there's a fear in a lot of, you know, folks' minds that, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't have the experience. You know, I don't know what products to sell. Just start small. Try stuff out. Go to a pop-up shop market, talk to everyone, see what people are selling. Look at your own passions. You know, what are you passionate about? Start selling things that you like. If it's books or, you know, people crochet stuffed animals now. It's huge. There are all these tiny crocheted little critters that sell for like 15 or 20 bucks or even more at these pop-up shop markets. Kids love them and they sell like hotcakes. Who knew? Who knew? But you can take control of your life, determine your own schedule, determine your own revenue, doing something that you love, and you don't have to have a lot of money to get started. So I think that's what I would say to people who are don't know how to get started, don't know, you know, if they have enough money to get started. You can, you do.
And you know, I love that you made that point because so I've been doing this podcast for 4 years and it's a little bit of a long journey as far as building it up to where I kind of envision it being. But even to this day, and I proved that with the episode Crashing, I'm still using material that came with the computer, and I'm not using Avid or Adobe for editing. I'm still using iMovie, and I'm somebody who has a degree in TV and film, and you would think that I would want or need that kind of tool. You would think that I would want or need more than just a mic and a lamp behind the computer, but I don't. I kept it super simple because I'm not exactly making 500,000 a year or anything. So it's like I've kept it pretty simple, and you can start a business no matter what it is that you're doing or want to do. You can start it off pretty simple and pretty light and just kind of stick to your passion, keep your passion in mind, and just progress naturally. And I feel like that is a point you're trying to make, and I just want to support that point. And I know that we lost about 5 minutes or so of time here, so I'll try not to keep you too much here. One question I got asked is, you have made it known on social media that you still write to this day. You're an excellent storyteller just from talking to you on this episode. So I gotta ask, with all the storytelling experience you have, how is that relevant to what you're doing, and how do you implement that and tell your story in social media? Because you do a very good job of it, especially on TikTok.
Oh, thank you. So with being a great storyteller is really key for social media, engaging an audience. And our little roadside stand has a really big audience on Facebook. I think we're maybe 20,000 or 21,000, and that's just, the folks that follow us locally. And it's being authentic and genuine and speaking to where people are in their own journey. When you're telling a story, understanding what makes people inherently happy. But also, what I have found over the years in these types of businesses, it's really key to focus on hyper local marketing. So when you're in a community, you want to know everything about that community. You want to know its heart and soul. You want to know what's important to people. You want to know all the places that people like to hang out. What are those destinations that people get excited about? What's the art? What's the vibe? Know everything about a place. And when you are inserting yourself or your business into that community or into the story of that community, you want to highlight not just yourself and your business, but everything around you, because it draws people in. So, like, what am I talking about? Here in Fort Worth, where I am, we call it Cowtown, and so we have a really strong pride about being where the West begins. That's what Fort Worth is known as, where the West begins. And so it's a real cowboy culture here. And we love stock show, we love the rodeo. So as much storytelling as I can do to bring that, right, love and interest into the experience of the roadside stand, the better off I am. And I'm engaging everyone in, the direct community, because we all share a pride, we all share a love. It's all things Cowtown, it's all things local. And that's one of the reasons why the college kids and the high school kids love it so much. It's because there's such strong school pride here, and everybody supports all of the schools. And so when the kids show up every day in the stands with, their alma mater, or their college that they're going to, they wear the school jersey, with a lot of pride, or they're wearing, a football shirt from a local high school. It engages the community. And so I capture that essence into all the storytelling we do. So it's not just me always talking about peaches. It's me talking about the local football team. It's me talking about the stockyards or a new restaurant, or it's just engaging the community so that they know I'm part of the fabric as well. We're all supporting each other. So it's that type of inclusion in storytelling and hyper local marketing.
I love that, and I have a billion more questions, but really no more time. I'm actually taking some of your time here. So let's talk a little bit about how people can get a hold of you, how they can find you on social media or out there in the world. and I'll let you explain.
Yes, you can find us at roadsiderepublic.com. That's our main website. And we have, Mark has mentioned, a TikTok channel, and we do a lot of kind of behind the scenes video content. We do a day in the life. I feature a lot of kids who work at the stands. We talk about the different products we have. We talk about how to sell. We talk about just tons of stuff, all related to pop-up shops and selling peaches. And that's our TikTok channel, Roadside Republic. You can also find us on Facebook. We're Roadside Republic, and our business, our stand business that we still do, it's called The Roadside Stand. So if you want to see like us in action, like, yes, we still do this business every single year, you can watch us at The Roadside Stand.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Shannon. I really appreciate your time, appreciate your patience. My God, you were so patient when I crashed out on you. I don't know what you were thinking, but I'm like, oh my gosh, she doesn't have all the time in the world. I gotta get back. So, thank you so much for taking some time on a Saturday. You have a very busy schedule. Really appreciate it. This was Shannon Houchin of Roadside Republic. Go check her out. She has a lot of wisdom about starting a business, especially the mom and pop type, which I feel we need to hear more about. And I love this topic. I loved having you on Mark My Words. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
It's been awesome, and we have more than run out of time here. I want to give some time for you to do the next thing. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks again to Shannon for being here. And this is Mark My Words. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Thanks again for taking time out of your busy day to listen to Mark My Words. If you would like to connect with me beyond the show, you can find me on LinkedIn at Mark Schmidt, where I will be talking about entrepreneurship, careers, and anything else that is on my mind. You can also connect with me on Twitter and Instagram at Nimrod1979 and Nimrod79 respectively. This podcast also has a page on Instagram at Mark My Words. And finally, if you want to leave me a voicemail or check out what I'm up to with the podcast, come find me at podpage.com/mark-my-words. Thanks again for listening, and I'll be back with a new episode soon. Bye for now.